is a technique that the the conquerors, the oppressors, the people who write the history books, subtle deception is what they always use to say, well, I showed it to you, but didn't you see it right? You must have saw it wrong. Simple, very simple how they do. We know that these are Cheyenne Indians, and they don't look. Now you have to be very, very careful when you look at photographs, because the first question is, why did they choose and select the very Cheyenne Indians that don't look one way or the other? They don't look Mongoloid or Negroid. But we know that there's only two. We know that there's only two. We know that there were two types of Indians, Mongoloid and Negroid. We know that there were two types of Indians. All right. So what they did, they also knew that since the two phenotypes were mixing together and having children together, we knew that some of them were going to look like one or the other, some of them were going to look like both of them, some of them were going to look like neither one. Well, they went.
So you mean the Mongoloids and the Negroids mixed?
Yeah, they did. Until the white man got over here in 1492, we got along just fine. We were all the same people. We know we came over on the same boats. We know that we some of us looked a little different, so some of us would branch out. That's just natural selection. But as far as us fighting each other in Indian wars before the white man got here, the wars didn't start until the white man got here. But what the white man does with his new technology called photographs, he would go and select the ones that look the most ambiguous. Now, these are ambiguous looking Cheyenne Indians. All right? So what this does is give you the impression that the Cheyenne tribe doesn't look Mongoloid and doesn't look Negroid. What does that suggest? They could possibly be Anglo. These could be children of Anglo men and Mongoloid women, or Anglo men and Negroid women, when in fact, all they did was go and pick out the ones that had either neither or both, where they wouldn't look like either one. So you can't say that, well, which one do they look like? Do they look like the Negroid or do they look like the Mongoloid? Well, when you look at these girls, which were carefully selected,
I think they look a little Negroid.
they look a little more Negroid than Mongoloid. Okay, well, guess what? Why didn't they go and get the Cheyenne? See, these are Cheyenne Indians. Why didn't they go and get the Cheyenne Indians that had Negroid features? Well, you can't tell me she's not Negroid. She's got Mongoloid features and she's got Negroid features. She is what you would consider, for lack of a better word, a hybrid. Okay, she looks like both of them. She definitely has Negroid features, and she definitely has Mongoloid features. All right, her eyes look Mongoloid, but the nose and her mouth look Negroid. All right, but they don't want you to know that these two phenotypes married, had children. They did that before they even got over here. Okay, but they don't want you to think that the Cheyenne have anything to do with the Negroid. So they won't go. This right here says pretty eyes, Cheyenne maiden. There's no question she's a Cheyenne, but there's also no question that she's a Negroid. She's a Negroid and a Mongoloid. No question. Okay, but again, the deception is with these. The average person looking at this would not look at this picture and say, these people can come from the Negroid phenotype. These girls have nothing to do with this Negroid over here. They may have something to do with this Mongoloid over here, maybe, but they have nothing to do with this Negroid. So in other words, the message is to the Negro, you got nothing to do with Native Americans. That's what sticks in your mind, because these are Indians, okay? But they never go back and get, we know that famous picture. They never go back and get the picture of the Native Americans that, where are you? They never go back and get the picture of the Native Americans that have the Negroid phenotype. They don't go get these girls. You'll never see this picture on any history book, any documentary, anything about Native American ancestry or history or First Nation people. You'll never see these people, these Aboriginal, American Aboriginal people honored. I don't care if it's William Shatner narrating it. I don't care if it's something that they do on the BBC. You will never see these Negroid, Aboriginal, Native Indians, Native Americans on any documentary, on any television broadcast. You won't, because they want to give you the image that these are Indians and these cannot be Indians. They can be anything on the planet, but not Native Americans. Okay? Now, let's go over here to another one. When you have, this is what I like, I use this all the time when I have people try to come to me and try to explain to me, their knowledge of Native American history. And they come to me with that, well, I know what's going on. I know what happened. No, you don't. They're like, okay, if you know what happened, then you explain this to me, and I'll bring out, picture. I'll bring out a picture like this picture right here. Okay. Now those two, that's a couple. That's an Indian couple. All right. And those are Ute Indians. All right. And I'll say, okay, well, is this woman an Indian, or is she a Negro? Oh, she's a Negro. She's not an Indian, not at all. She's not, huh? Okay. Well, how you figure that? She's dressed like an Indian.
Her hair is combed like an Indian.
Hair is combed like an Indian.
Her husband is dressed like an Indian. The baby dressed like an Indian.
Yeah. So why isn't she an Indian? Well, if she was around another Indian.
That looks like a Native American blanket or whatever it is.
Yeah. But because of her facial features, they've been programmed not to think that she can be anything but an Indian, even though she's dressed up completely like an Indian. She's not on a slave plantation with a do-rag around her head, but she still cannot. She can be anything on the planet, but not a Native American. So maybe if I saw her with another Native Indian woman, another Native American female, and the male wasn't there, maybe I would see it that way. I said, okay, all right. So let's look at it this way. Now, is this woman a Native American? Oh yeah, she's a Native American. Okay. Is the baby Native American? Yep, that's Native American. I said, so is this woman a Native American? Yeah, it looks kind of like. I said, well, that's the same woman it is over here.
Mm-hmm.
So you see how your mind can play tricks on you?
Same outfit.
She got the same outfit, but because they saw this face first, then they associated this image with Native American because they saw this face that they've been programmed to believe is Native American and only Native American. Nothing else is Native American unless you see this Mongoloid looking face here. But these are both Ute Indians. Now,
They're about the same size. They look alike to me.
got the hair the same way and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you will never see a woman from a plantation, a slave from a plantation,
Without a rag on her head.
without a rag on her head if she's a Negro,
They always had rags.
they always had rags. Now, the Indians that they put in slavery didn't have to have rags because they had their hair would grow, because they always let their hair grow anyway. So they had their hair as a cover and they didn't need a do-rag, okay? So if this was a lady on a slave plantation, she wouldn't be wrapped with a do-rag around her head. You know, she has too much hair to put a rag around her hair anyway. So, but because the educational system, which was devised by two white Jewish men, it has been carefully designed to program your mind to see, immediately when you see Negroid features, you automatically think Africa. And that's all it's designed to do, okay? You see somewhat Mongoloid features, you think Native American, all right? You see ambiguous features, you think anything but Africa, but possibly Native American, okay? So they use all the other, like the wardrobe and the hairstyles to reinforce Native American history, but they will not, where those girls I just had up there, they will not associate those black girls as Native Americans.
The California girls.
The California girls, they will not associate them with being Native American at all. Even though they're full-blood Native Americans, never been to Africa, don't look like no African people, and have never been to Africa. They will not associate these. They will not associate these people as being Indians. Just these people. Now, here's where their propaganda breaks down. Here's where it breaks down. When you have obvious Negroid features, all right, in an Aboriginal, you got two possibilities. You can mask this and avoid at all costs, erase this image at all costs. Don't let it be reproduced, photographed, anywhere. But they can't do that. All right? So the next thing you can do is to hide it. You've got to hide it. Don't let this out. Well, the Most High is going to let this slip out some kind of way, and now it slipped out. So there's no way you can say that these people, the Negroid and the Mongoloid didn't coexist together. Now here's the problem. They did try to suppress it. They really did. And they did a real good job at suppressing it. However, let's look at how they tried to suppress it. Here we go. This is Wounded Knee. Before the massacre, Mongoloid and Negroid. All right? They erased this image, or took it out of production and replaced it with this image, which is dead bodies. But they don't tell you these dead bodies were Negroid and Mongoloid people. They just tell you that they were Mongoloid Indians. That's it. They tell you they were people like this. That's it. So they did everything they could. They spent millions and millions and billions of dollars to hide the fact that the Negroid and the Mongoloid coexisted before the white man got here. They coexisted. They didn't fight. They will always tell you that, well, the Native Americans had Negroid slaves. They had Negro slaves. Well, I haven't seen one picture of that. All I ever see are pictures of Indians welcoming the Negro children. I haven't seen them fighting. They could have easily put this child in slavery. They didn't. They dressed them up just like they did. So the photographic record does not support the lie that has been propagated. The photographic record does not support that Native Americans enslaved black people. It doesn't. The photographic record does not support that the black soldiers were fighting the Indians. It doesn't support that. Now they could train them to fight them, but there's no evidence of them fighting. In fact, I remember reading a book by a Buffalo soldier that said they refused to fight the Native Americans. They refused because they saw them as their brothers. Now, why would they do that if they weren't Negroid Native Americans? They saw them as their brothers. So the record does not support the propaganda lie that they had told. That's the problem. And now that the photographic record is coming out, their lies are crumbling. And as their lies crumble day to day, and we start seeing who we really are, and finding out who we are, and finding evidence of who we are, then they're gonna have a problem. Did I give you a picture of this map? I did? Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Just want to make sure I did that. Now, let me put this map up here anyway. I was gonna go somewhere else. Let me put this map up here. It's always important to have a map to go over. Always important to have a map to go over. Now, as you can see, the Indians that were in Texas, one of those Indians in green is called the Tonkawas. And they are just north. That looks like right there at the Beaumont border, Beaumont, Texas. Right here in green. Is that Beaumont, Texas right there? And that green going over into Louisiana? Will that be down here?
That's Galveston down
Okay. This is Galveston right here, right?
there.
So Beaumont's going to be right in here. Beaumont is just before you get to Louisiana. All right? It's just on this side of the border. Okay? So these Tonkawas and Karankawa Indians are in that area. Okay? So with the Tonkawa and the Karankawas in this area right here, we know Beaumont is right in there somewhere. Okay? Now, what you have here is a picture of a Tonkawa Indian. All right? So, he's clearly not a Mongoloid. There's no question he's a Negroid Native American. All right? Now, we know that he was in this area right here where the light green is, Tonkawa. This is a Tonkawa Indian. This is an actual physical drawing, detailed drawing. There's a difference between a painting and a drawing that someone just tried to do with stick figures. All right. When they go to this much detail in their painting, you can pretty much bet that the object you're looking at is accurate. Now, if they go and try to do one of those stick figure paintings like this, odds are it's not, because they're not putting any detail into it, so you can't track anything. But when they put this much detail into a painting, odds are it's pretty much accurate. They wouldn't go to that much trouble to detail a lie. Plus, this tells a story that the status quo doesn't want to tell. This tells a story of Negroid Native Americans. Now, if you got Negroid Native Americans, Tonkawas, here, his name is Placido, the chief of the Tonkawas. And right here, you got the Tonkawas. The only conclusion you can come to is that the Indians in this area right here, at least the light green ones, were Negroid. And that's Texas. Now, why is it that that would stand out and be important? Is because Texas had a lot of black slaves. But Texas didn't bring a lot of slaves over here from Georgia. They already had them. All they had to do was just take off all the garb, strip them of their heritage, beat them to death, put them in chains. They look enough like African people that they can say, well, these are Negroes. They look just like the people they brought over on the ships. To them. All right. Now again, you got two types of slaves, and this is one thing that nobody pays any attention to. You got two types of slaves that they had over here on plantation. And if you're not paying attention to, there's that picture right there I was looking for. Okay, again, go back. Back up. The evidence, the photographic evidence shows that the Native Americans and the Mongoloid Indians and the Negroid Indians got along. They loved the children. They knew that they were the same people. They didn't see a difference. But when the deceiver got to this land and started writing the history books with his perspective on it, guess what? All of a sudden, these people hate each other. The Mongoloid Indians hate the Negroid Indians. The Mongoloid Indians hate the Negroid Indians. Okay?
They were in the same family.
They were the same families, but they hate each other according to the deceiver's books. Every history book from 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade is going to tell you that these two groups of people hated each other because these had these in slavery. There's no evidence of that.
I never saw that in the history book about Indians at all.
I did. In my history book, it said that they were the Mongoloid Indians had the Negroes. They didn't call them Negroid Native Americans. The Negroes in slavery.
So then they alluded that they were African slaves.
Exactly.
That they had African slaves when they didn't have African slaves.
No, they didn't have African slaves. They didn't have no slaves at all.
The blacks were actually Indians.
The blacks were Indians.
But they didn't say there were Mongoloid and Negroid Indians.
Right. Remember now. Remember. Don't forget. You still have proof that. Remember the guy that's the freedman? Remember the freedman?
Yeah.
Shoot, where is that picture at? If I can find this picture here in a second. I always like to have a picture to show when I'm talking about it. The Choctaw freedman. He was a Choctaw freedman, and he was given an allotment and land, and he could not. He was Choctaw. He was a Choctaw. I got this picture here somewhere. A Choctaw freedman, and freedman stood for a free Indian. There we go. A free Indian of color. All right. Alfred Barnett. Alfred Barnett. Okay. Alfred Barnett was a Choctaw freedman. Choctaw freedman, and freedman meant that he was a free Indian. There's got a D in there, okay? But they would take the D out and say he's a freeman, which suggests he's a black Negroid slave that was free now. But put the little D in there, no, he's a free Indian, a free Indian man. Means free. Freedman means free man. Freedman does not mean freed slave. Okay? It does not mean free. So he was a Creek Indian, a freeman. I said Choctaw. He was a Creek. A Creek Freedman, a Creek Indian male. All right. Now he doesn't look anything like. Let's see if I can find that picture over here. I think I got a picture of your boys over here. He doesn't look anything like these guys. They have beards. They have robust bodies. Facial hair. Everyone's got a mustache. Most of the Negroid Indians, all right, had a hard time. Look up here. Look over here. They had a hard time. Where's the one I had? Well, that's him. That's him right there. They didn't have razors. They didn't have electric shave. They didn't have double track razors, double blade razors. They were just smooth faced like that. Okay. He doesn't look anything like these Negroes that came over on slave ships. And these Negroes aren't even in chains. They were promised work. They didn't have to put them in chains. So the propaganda picture that they used to make you think that this is how they were brought over, this is how they were actually brought over. They weren't brought over like this, but they play on your emotions. They play on your emotions when they draw stuff like this. But the photographic record does not support the lie. Again, the same thing they did with this propaganda is the same thing they did with the Negroid Indians in the word freedman. Same thing. All they did was just tell you these were descendants of slaves of these people. The Mongoloid Indians had the Negroid Indians in slavery. And so that's why we had to free them and call them freed men. But that's not what happened. They never were slaves. They never were slaves. These Indians didn't. Does this look like these Mongoloid Indians, the mother and the father, the chief over here? They got them in certain, they don't have them in rags with no shoes on. Look, they got brand new shoes on, shirt and tie. They look proud to have these as their family members, whether they adopted them or not. But again, the record shows that we got along. The Mongoloids, we always have to go back to your originals. Your two phenotypes, you always have to go back to, make sure you keep that. Make sure you keep that. But I got it. Oh. Your two phenotypes got along before the enemy came and divided us. Now, when you go up to some of the Montana, Minnesota reservations, those and Lakota reservations, those half Mongoloid, half Anglo Indians don't like black people. They don't like black Indians. They don't like Negroid people at all, because they're not really full-blood Indians. They're descendants of white people and Mongoloids. So you get white people mixed with these, and that's where you get your class of
Indigenous people.
ambiguously looking Indians, because they mix with Mongoloids. Mixed with Anglos, Caucasians.
So what did the black man do to them? Why did they?
Nothing. Same thing. The black man didn't do anything to the white man when he came over here. The white man hates you because he hates you. He goes back to Esau and Jacob. It's called a perpetual hatred.
So did he sue the state, the government, or something?
To get his CC number? Yes. He got it. Same. Remember, Melinda Lawson had to do the same thing. Remember her family did that?
She never got her number.
She never got it, but she went through the process. He got through. She didn't. She died before she got through.
And her daughters didn't pick it up.
Her son picked it up. But he kept getting rejections and throw pass-offs by the person that was handling his case. They kept
So he could never, so they would never give him his number.
not her. They gave him his, but they didn't give her hers. But remember now, she applied. She applied. Remember the package I showed you? Mm-hmm. She applied. Here is the. She kept getting those letters. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Go back and get that. There we go. No, put that over there. There's a questionnaire that comes in with the packet that you have to fill out. There it is. Okay. And it has all these questions on it. Okay. This is her son, Eddie Lawson. This is the where's the picture? This is this woman's brother. This is her daughter, and that's her son. When she died, her son, Eddie Lawson, picked it up and ran with it. Now, if you look at him, and you look at him, neither one of them look like the ones that, they don't look like the black people that came off the slave
Why didn't
ships.
she pick it up?
She's the daughter of the white man that owned her.
So she couldn't-
Her father is white.
So she couldn't pick it up.
She couldn't do it, but her son did. Here's the questionnaire, and it asked him who was her father. It says, let me read it here right quick. What was the name of father's father? Tom, full blood. When and where were your parents married? Amity, Louisiana. Is there any record of the marriage? If so, state where. Courthouse, Amite, Paris, Louisiana. When and where did she die? Died in Mississippi. Remember Mississippi now. You know how about your family in Mississippi. Shoot. Boy, they love moving you in Mississippi. So, let me see, what question, that's number 11. See if I have question 10. Let's see here. If dead, state, date, and place of her death. I think it says Chicago, 1892. All right. I got it. Okay, here's number 1. Let's start with number 1. In matter of Melinda Lawson, Mississippi Choctaw. Okay. The person this is a memorandum of evidence. This goes along with your application for Indian identification. Full name, Melinda Tom Lawson, Esau Lawson, husband. Post office, blah, blah, blah. When and where were you? 1807. Clinton, when were you born? Clinton, Louisiana, 1807. Is there an official record of your birth, baptism? If so, yes, in Clinton, Louisiana. Father's name, Indian Tom, full blood. Okay? This is the questionnaire that the person, for the 5 civilized tribes, you got Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, Seminole. When you want to be put on that Indian roll and get this number right here, CC, okay, the CC number, all right? To get that number, you got to fill out this questionnaire and answer it. If you answer full blood, you're supposed to get this number. She answered it full blood. She didn't get that number. Why?
Why did they deny her though?
Because the person that took his information down lied. Lied, and he fought it, and he got it. The person that took her information down lied. They fought it. They didn't get it. Okay? Different
So did they
circumstances.
just give up?
The last that we know of was a letter that we got. The last information. This is, Dear Mr. Lawson, I have received your letter of May 12th regarding your Choctaw Indian claim. Our suit is now pending in Washington, and there is no occasion for you at this time to make an effort to prove your Indian ancestors. If and when this case is concluded and we obtain a money judgment for the Choctaw Indian, you will know about this, and it will be in order then to write to me about your claim. That's J.A. Riddle, the guy that was handling it. Other than that, I don't know, because the family didn't release. This is all the family released, so I don't know. But there's no question, because of the questionnaire, she is a full-blood Native American. No questions. All right, but you're expecting a government that wants to steal your history to do right, and you're not going to get it. He was lucky, just like your great grandmother Rebecca was lucky. She was lucky that she got a guy that put down the correct title, the correct nationality when he put down Indian. She was lucky. Did you find the other hard copy?
I didn't even look for it,
Okay.
but I'm gonna look for it before
Okay.
I take it out.
No problem, no problem.
I'm gonna find the hard copy.
You remember I was telling you that was very, very rare for that to happen, because most of the time when you look like us, they didn't put down Indian, they put down colored. But somebody made them slip and say, no, I'm going to tell the truth. But that's the Lord touching their heart, making them do that, you know. But again, you were very, very lucky to get that. I didn't get it on none of mine, but you were lucky. You were lucky. So you got, that was a blessing from the Lord right there. I wouldn't give that away for nothing in the world. But this woman here is this woman here.
Mm-hmm.
She's just a little older. She died like 1960.
That's the dog.
That's the daughter. Yeah, that's the daughter that's over here.
She left it up to the brother to try to do everything.
Because the women in the 1930s and 40s, the women didn't have any power. The men had to do everything. The women didn't have any power. Okay, let's go one step further. This right here is a Cherokee Indian chief. Now, there is no question he looks exactly like Richard Roundtree. But the history books, the laws, the media, the movies, everything tells Richard Roundtree that you have nothing to do with a person that you look like. You come from Africa. Even though you don't really, you look more like this Indian than you do Shaka Zulu, but still, our propaganda machine is going to pump it into your head that even though you look like this Indian, you got nothing to do with him. Go look for your ancestry in Africa with Shaka Zulu and the Zulu nation, but don't go look for your ancestry amongst people that you look exactly like. No. That's how they use media and repetition. You see over and over and over and over. I don't care if it's Bonanza. I don't care if it's Gunsmoke. I don't care if it's the Rifleman. I don't care if it's the Big Valley. The only Indians you're going to see are Indians that look like this.
You never saw a black Indian.
You are never going to see a black Indian. Never. And they use that repetition, pump the same image over and over and over again, so you will never think and never connect that this is an actual Indian. Never. And it's done a good job.
I wonder why he decided to seek that out.
Some of us have that, oh, the hell with it spirit. And then others of us have that, I'm going to fight till I'm dead spirit. Okay? It's just a spirit, whatever spirit the Lord puts on you, you know, you run with it. And the Lord put a spirit on him to fight for his, and he got it. He put the spirit on Melinda Lawson's son to fight, but he ran up against a wicked investigator who wouldn't give him the time of day. He kept blowing him off. This ain't the time. This ain't your fight. We're not doing that right now. Come back another time. Keep an eye out. If we're doing it, maybe we'll help you out then, but we're not helping you out right now. You see? You're not fighting against a just system You're fighting and you're living amongst a system that hates you, doesn't want you to be known as an Indian, doesn't want you to know that black people are Indians. All they want you to think is that you were a slave of an Indian, you were a freeman instead of a freedman, and if you don't look like these ambiguous looking people, you're not an Indian. If you look like this black guy up here, oh, that ain't your people. Yeah, he's black, but he ain't you.
Well, I wonder if there are any reservations now that have black Indians on it.
There are, but you don't see them out, and you don't see them on the news. You don't see them. Not in Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, they're classified as freedmen. All right. You won't see them on the reservation listed as Indians, because see, remember now, this guy's on a different roll than these people. These people are on an Indian roll. He's on a census. Now, he may be listed as a colored person. He may be listed as a mulatto. He may even be listed as an Indian, but he ain't on an Indian roll. Like your grandmother, Rebecca, was on a census. She wasn't on an Indian roll.
But her son was on.
Her son was on one. He may have been lucky enough to get on one of those, but we'd have to go find it. We have to go find it. But again, the goal is to make you think that only these are Indians, these are not Indians.
But she was on an Indian census. She wasn't on,
What you showed me was a census.
wasn't it an Indian census?
And they just had Indian on it as her nationality.
But I mean across the top, didn't it say Indian census?
I don't think so. That was the Calvin was on one.
Calvin was on a different one though.
Yeah. No, what it looked like to me she was on was a census, but you didn't have the hard copy. All I saw was the face page.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You'd have to bring it, let me look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's again, the goal is to make you think that this is where you come from. This is where you come from. All right? You do not come from these black Indians. They're Negroid, they're black, they look just like you, but this is not you. This is you. Okay? This is not you. This is you. That's all they want to pump in your head. Now, my last point I've got to make, I got that picture here, I was going to make sure I brought it out. Now, this is a Blackfoot Indian. Blackfoot Indian mother. Now, the reason I brought this out, there is no question she is not Mongoloid. Just look at her real close. She looks like your Aunt Verdi.
Just like
She's not light skinned. She's not as light as these girls.
no.
She's not light skinned. It's just maybe the lighting they use, but she's not light skinned. Plus, there's not 1 ounce of Mongoloidism on her face.
Mm-mm.
That's a black woman. Alicia Keys looks lighter than her. Halle Berry looks lighter than her.
They're fair.
But there's no question that's a black woman. Lena Horne is lighter than her. Good Lord. You can't use shades. You have to use profile, facial features. But we were programmed to use shades, light skin, hair. But that's not what determines what an Indian is. All right? Not at all. Now, again, this is not a really, really good picture, but this is a Washita Indian from the 1860s. There's no question that guy is black. No question. No question. No. How much time I got? Do you have your phone? I'm recording. Do you have your phone to see what time it is? I don't want to go over. I got to make this last point. This is one more thing we've got to cover before we leave. One more thing we've got to cover.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Won't take that long. Guess what? Now, You've got to start programming your brain to see what other people see that can't speak. All right. Now, gotta get one more. There's that stupid picture I was looking for. Where is that picture? Where is that picture? Okay, let me use this one. I'll use this one. I'll use this one. Come here. Here we go. When you're looking at photo, this isn't a good picture. Let me see if I can find a really good one. Because that's a copy. I made that a copy. Shoot. I made a copy. See if I can find. I got not an original, but a better picture than that. But you have to train your eye to look at the subject's eye and see what is the subject looking at and what is the subject saying. If the subject is supposed to be looking and posing, a lot of times, if you look at them very carefully, they're saying something that the cameraman doesn't want them to say. And I can't find it right now, but no, I gotta go ahead and use this one. Okay. When I get the better picture, I'll bring it. Now, when you look at these two pictures, okay. There's a camera pointing at the people on the picture. There's a camera pointing at it. Here it is. I had it right up on the board. Had it covered up. Okay, there's a camera pointing at the subject, the people that are in the photograph. Okay?